This video deals with the charts in Excel. Let's start with the first slide. The first slide deals with the mathematical graphs, so how to produce mathematical graphs. You need to open the laboratory file and you have to go to the sheet goal. Then you have to create a mathematical graph for this function, and you have to use the scatter plot chart using only lines. And then you have to configure the charts according to these settings. Red and very thick line, thick axis, correct format of the values, y-axis font, blue, Times New Roman, 11 points. Then you need to insert a text box and you need to write inside the text box zero crossing. Then you need to change the, the box border to 1 point black. You need to change the background of the text box to white, and at the end you need to insert arrows that go from the box to the zero crossing points of your charts. So now try to solve this exercise by yourself. Pause this video and then we are going to see the solution together. So please pause this video. Now let's see the solution together. So now I open the laboratory file and I go to the sheet whose name is goal, this one. And we need to produce a chart for this function. Before going on, you need to complete the slide dealing with the goals, and you need to insert these three functions. This one, this one, and this one. So now let's see how to produce a mathematical graph for function f2. So we need to go to insert, under charts, we select scatter plot and we select the type, this one. Okay, we need an empty chart at the moment, so scatter plot with lines. Now I have an empty chart, and let's see how to enter the data for my chart. We need to go to select data here, and we need to add our data, so we click add here. Now we have this window where we have to specify the name of the series that will appear in the legend, the x values for our function, and the y values for our function. So for example, for series names, I can select cell C1 containing the text f2 of x. Under series x values, I select the column containing the x values, so column A. Pay attention not to include the first cell, which contains only text. Now we need to enter the y values that are contained in column C. So I select this cell range, excluding the first cell C1, which contains text. So here we need only numbers. And then here you see that the curve is already appearing. Click OK and then OK again. Now we need to change the settings of our chart, the properties according to the ones specified in the exercise. First of all, we need to change the width and the color of this line to red to red and very thick. So you click the curve, then you right click and you select format data series. Here you have different options. Under fill and line, you can specify solid line, no line, gradient line, automatic. In this case I specify solid line and I change the color to red. Then we need to change the width. Here is this property. Now it's 1,5 points. I increase it by, let's say, 3. And that's all. Now we can close this. We need to modify the axis. We need the thick axis, so we need to increase the width of the axis. And we need to specify correct format for the values here for the x axis and y axis. So let's change the properties for the x axis. So I select it, clicking the left button of the mouse, then right click, format axis. Okay, here we need to change the fill and line properties. We need to increase the width, let's say 3 points. Then we need to change the format, which is here in axis options under number. Let's select, here we are dealing with number, so we select number. And here also you can specify the number of decimal places, let's say 2. Let's do the same for the y-axis. So I select the y-axis. I change the type to number, so the format to number with 2 decimal places. And then we need also to increase the width of the line of the axis to 3 points. And we can close this. We need also to change the font of the y-axis to blue and to Times New Roman 11 points. So you can just select the y-axis by clicking the left button of the mouse, and then you can right click and then format axis font. Under font you have to select Times New Roman. .11 and the color blue. Okay, Times New Roman 11 font color blue. Now we need to insert a text box. So under here, Format, under the Chart Tools menu. Here you have different shapes you can use. In this case, we need the text box one. So select it and click in the chart. Let's write the text zero crossing as specified in the exercise. Then select the text box, right click, select Format Object, specify solid line, color black, and the width 1 point. The fill, solid fill, as we need a background, a white background. We select white here. Okay, we can close this. Can change the size of the text box. Now we need only to insert the arrows pointing from the box to the zero crossing points here. So let's double click here, select Format, and let's take the arrow from the Shape menu. So one arrow pointing from the text box to this point, another one from here to here. And that's all. So let's go back to the presentation. Let's switch to the next slide. Let's go on with the exercise. Now it is requested to add the other two functions to the same graph to include a grid and use different colors and different line types. Then you need to compare the scatter plot versus lines chart, and you need to to notice what happens to the x-axis. So this is a point of the exercise to make you notice that when you need to produce a mathematical graph, you have to use always scatter plot, not lines. So try to solve this part of the exercise by yourself, and then we're going to see the solution together. So now pause this video and solve the exercise. Please pause this video. Now let's see the solution together. So let's add the other two functions to our chart. Select the chart, design, select data. Let's add a new series. The series name is contained in B1, which contains the text f1 of x. Here we need to specify the x values that are contained in column A. Then we need to specify the y values for function f1 that are in column B. Pay attention to exclude the first column, the first cell of the column. Okay, as you can see, the chart is already the function is already there. Now let's add function f3. Series name is in D1, which contains the text f3 of x. Series x values, again the values in column A. And y values are in column D. Then click OK. OK again. Now let's see how to include a grid. You need to go to Add Chart Element, Grid Lines. Here you have many options. You can remove or add primary major horizontal, primary major vertical. So in this case we need the grid. You can add also primary minor horizontal, also primary minor vertical. Now let's change the color and the type of the functions we have just inserted in our chart. For example, this one. So select this curve related to function f1, then right click, format data series here, select solid line. You can change the color, for example, to green. Then we can change the style to round dot. Then we can select the other one, function f3. We can select color yellow. For example, you can choose the color you want. You can increase the width. Let's choose another type. Let's say this one, dash. So if you want, you can play a little bit with these settings. You don't need to insert exactly the properties I have just entered. Now, the last part of the exercise is to compare a scatter plot versus a line chart, and we need to notice what happens to the x-axis. So let's produce a line chart with these three functions. So I show you also how to produce very quickly a chart including all the three functions. So you select the four columns, then you go to insert, select line. Okay, you see that the three functions are immediately inserted in our chart, which in this case is the line one. And so if you look at the x-axis, you see that there is a big difference compared to the other one, the scatter plot. In fact, the x-axis and the y-axis don't cross to don't cross to zero, as you can see. So this is an exercise to make you notice that if you need to produce a mathematical graph, you have always to use the scatter plot chart, not the lines one. Now let's go back to the presentation. Let's switch to the next slide. You need to open the sheet called fruits, always in the laboratory file. You need to create a bar plot that represents for each fruit the tons sold in 2006. Then you need to apply these features to the chart. You need to change the color of the bars to green. You need to select gray plot background. You need to change the horizontal step to 20 tons. Then you need to put values on the right of each bar. You need to remove the legend if it is present. And then you need to add title and labels on each axis. So try to solve this exercise by yourself, and then we are going to see the solution together. So now pause this video. So please pause this video. Now let's see the solution together. Let's go again to the laboratory file and let's open the fruits sheet. Here you see our data for our chart. In this case, we need to produce a bar plot, including the for each fruit the tons sold in 2006. So this one. So we can produce it very quickly if you select these two columns. Then you go to Insert. You select the bar one. This is the column one, sorry. Oops. It's this one. Then we need to modify some properties of our chart. We need green bar, so you select one bar, then you right click. You can change also the color from here if you want, or you can select format data series. You have this menu from here. Select solid fill and then change the color to green. Then we need a gray plot background, so let's select the plot background, right click, format plot area, solid fill, and let's select a gray one, light gray, this one. Now let's change the horizontal step to 20 tons. So let's select the x-axis, then a right click, select format axis, and here under axis options, for measure right, for measure units write 20. Then we can put labels. We need to put values on the right of each bar. So let's select the bar, right click, add data labels, and then add data labels. Here we have now the values on the right, and we need to remove a legend, but at the moment we don't have a legend. In any case, let's see how to do it. Select design from here, add chart element. Here you have some options for the legend here. For example, you can put the legend to the right, to the top, left, bottom. In this case, we don't need any legend, so let's select none. And also another way to add the data labels to the bar here is in this way. So you select data labels, you can specify where you want to put your labels. In our case is this one. Where is it? Inside base, this one, outside end. Now we need the title and labels on each axis. So again, under design, add chart element, axis titles, primary, and primary horizontal and primary vertical. And now we can put a title for the x-axis. For example, tons. And here let's write fruit. And that's all. So now let's go back to the presentation. Let's switch to the next slide. Now we need to modify the chart, including also the data about the productions in 2005 and 2004. Then we need that the 2004-2005 bars are close to each other. We need to change the colors for them. Red for 2005, yellow for 2004. Now we need to insert a legend. Then we need to overlap the bars by 30%. And then we need to move the chart in a new sheet. So now try to solve this part of the exercise by yourself. And then we're going to see the solution together. So now pause this video. So please pause this video. Now let's see the solution together. So let's add the data for the production 2005-2004. Let's click our chart. Under design, select data, then add series name 2005, series values, the values here. Let's add a production for 2004, series name tons 2004, series X values, these ones. Okay. Now we need to change the color, red for 2005, yellow for 2004. So let's first let's insert the legend. So let's click the chart, design, add chart element, legend, right. So now we have red 2004, it's okay. Yellow 2005 is red, 2004 has to be yellow. So let's select this one, right click, and let's use the shortest way to do it from fill. Here select yellow, and we need to overlap the bars by 30%. We can also add data labels for the new productions 2005 2004. So just right click, add data labels, add data labels. Let's do the same for the production 2005. Right click, add data labels, add data labels. Now let's overlap the bars by 30%. So select one of the bar, right click, format data series, and here for series overlap select right 30%. You see that now the bars are overlapping by this factor. Now let's move the chart in a new sheet. So select the chart, right click, then select move chart. In a new sheet. Okay. So now we have in a new sheet the chart we have just produced. Now let's go back to the presentation. Let's go to the other slide, another slide. This slide deals with pie charts. You need to open again the laboratory file. You have to consider labels that are contained in two different sheets. Pie labels. The labels are contained in one sheet, pie labels, and the data is contained in the sheet pie data. So in this case, we have the data in one sheet and the labels in another one. And we need to produce a pie chart. You need to insert manually the labels using select data. Then you have to put legend at the bottom, and then you need to put data category labels outside the pie. So let's try to solve this exercise by yourself, and then we are going to see the solution together. So now pause this video. So please pause this video. So now let's see the solution together. So the sheets we need are this one, pie data and pie labels. So in pie labels we have the labels for our chart. Pie data we have the data. So let's say we want to insert our chart, pie chart here. I go to insert, I select the right chart type, this one. Then from select data, I add, here you need to add the data. We can write as series name fruit statistics. So I select fruit statistics from the sheet pie data, and for series values I select the values, then click OK. So now we need also to insert manually the labels. So click edit here and select on the axis label range, which is this one, and then click OK, and then OK again. We need to put legend at the bottom, it's already there, but let's see again how to add a legend. So here under design, add chart element, legend. Here you can choose where you want to put the legend, or if you don't want a legend. In this case we need a legend here at the bottom. And then we need to we want the data category labels outside the pie. So let's click here, right click, format data series. Here, oh no, it's not here, sorry, it's here, more data label options, as we need, because here if you specify one of these option, in this case outside and, it shows the values, but we need the category labels. So let's select more data label options, this one. So what we want to show is the category name, not the values, where, outside and then we can close this. Okay, that's all for this video. So the video ends here.